For centuries, it has been the ultimate authority at Hogwarts, deciding the fate of every young witch and wizard. With a single glance into their minds, it determines their house, their future, and maybe even their destiny. But what if things aren't as simple as they seem? What if there's something about the Sorting Hat that we've all overlooked? Get ready to uncover one of the biggest mysteries in the wizarding world. And if you're as curious as a Ravenclaw or as bold as a Gryffindor, make sure to subscribe. After all, knowledge is the greatest magic of all. From our very first encounter with Hogwarts, the Sorting Hat has been presented to us as one of the oldest and wisest objects in the wizarding world. Its role seems crystal clear. It reads students' minds, analyzes their most prominent character traits, and sorts them into the house that suits them best. It is a relic of the Founders, created to preserve the legacy of Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. Every year, before beginning its work, it sings a song explaining the values of the four houses and affirming its role as the ultimate arbiter of student placement. It makes it very clear to us: the brave go to Gryffindor, the learned to Ravenclaw, the loyal and hardworking to Hufflepuff, and the ambitious to Slytherin. And up to this point, everything seems perfectly logical. We imagine an infallible sorting hat, one that reads deep into our minds and within seconds knows exactly who we are. But what if we've been lied to? What if the Sorting Hat doesn't work the way we've always believed? At first glance, one might think the system is perfect. Most students sorted into a house seem to align with its values. Slytherins are ambitious and cunning, Gryffindors are courageous, Ravenclaws are brilliant, and Hufflepuffs are loyal and hardworking. But as soon as we scratch the surface, numerous inconsistencies emerge. Let's take a closer look at some students, and we'll quickly see that something doesn't add up. Take Neville Longbottom. In his first year, Neville is anything but a typical Gryffindor. He is timid, clumsy, and spends his time avoiding trouble. He was even nearly placed in Hufflepuff, and he explicitly requested it. Yet, the Sorting Hat put him in Gryffindor. Why? Dumbledore himself acknowledges in the Chamber of Secrets that Neville severely lacks self-confidence. And yet, the Sorting Hat saw him as a Gryffindor, but not for who he was at the time, for who he would become. That's a troubling detail. But let's set it aside for a moment. Now take Draco Malfoy. He is immediately sorted into Slytherin, without the slightest hesitation. And that makes sense, right? His entire family was in Slytherin. He despises Muggles, and he feels superior to other students. But at this stage in the story, is Draco really cunning and manipulative? In his first year, he is just a spoiled child parroting what he's heard at home. His attempts to harm Harry and his friends are childish and lack any real subtlety. He is arrogant, yes, but is he truly calculating and ambitious from the start? Or was he simply placed in Slytherin because he expected to be there and never questioned it? And then, there's the most puzzling case of all. Peter Pettigrew, cowardly, opportunistic, willing to betray his best friends to save his own skin. How could he possibly be a Gryffindor, meant to embody courage and loyalty? Absolutely nothing about his personality seems to justify this placement. Some might argue that he showed courage by joining Voldemort, that he made a risky choice, but let's be honest. Betraying your friends to save yourself is not heroic. So how could the Sorting Hat have been so wrong? This is where the real mystery begins. And all of this leads us to a crucial detail that has often been overlooked. The Sorting Hat doesn't always sort instantly. In most cases, it makes a decision within seconds. But sometimes it hesitates. This is known as a hat stall, a moment when the Sorting Hat takes more than 5 minutes to choose a house. There have been a few famous hat stalls. Minerva McGonagall, who was torn between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. Phileas Flitwick, who was nearly placed in Gryffindor before the hat chose Ravenclaw. Peter Pettigrew, who was almost placed in Slytherin. Yes, Pettigrew was nearly a Slytherin. That means there was real doubt. And what if the Sorting Hat wasn't analyzing just personality traits, but something else? And this is where we uncover the greatest revelation about the Sorting Hat. If we go back to one of the key moments in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, we have undeniable proof that the Sorting Hat might not be as infallible as it seems. When Harry Potter places the Sorting Hat on his head, it does not immediately assign him a house. It hesitates. It probes his mind and recognizes that he has the qualities to be in Slytherin. It even tells him, "You could be great, you know, and Slytherin will help you on your way to greatness, no doubt about that." But he refuses. He categorically rejects Slytherin, and the Sorting Hat gives in. This moment is the key. If the Sorting Hat sorted purely based on personality, then why did it allow Harry to influence the decision? And this is where a fascinating theory emerges. What if the Sorting Hat doesn't sort students based on their personality, but based on the values they admire and the house they secretly want to join? What if the students actually choose their own house? If this theory is true, it means the Sorting Hat doesn't really choose our houses. It's the opposite. Students choose their house, consciously or unconsciously, and the Sorting Hat merely confirms that choice. And this explains everything. Let's look at other cases from this perspective. Take Hermione Granger. She is brilliant, studious, a perfect example of a Ravenclaw. The Sorting Hat even considered placing her there. Yet, she was sent to Gryffindor. Why? Because she admires courage and action above all. She doesn't just want to know things. She wants to use her intelligence for a cause. Like her heroes. She even says it herself in the Sorcerer's Stone during the Potion Riddle Challenge. Books and cleverness. There are more important things. Friendship and bravery. It's not knowledge that defines her. It's what she values. Now take Neville Longbottom. He should have been in Hufflepuff. He is humble, loyal, hardworking. He even asked the Sorting Hat to place him there. But despite his fears, Neville admires Gryffindor. Even though he doubts himself, he aspires to be a hero. He wants to be brave. And by being placed in Gryffindor, he slowly but surely transforms into a true hero. First-year Neville is nothing like a Gryffindor, but seventh-year Neville is one of the bravest characters in the entire saga. And this is exactly the key to this theory. The Sorting Hat doesn't sort students based on who they are. It sorts them based on who they want to become. And this theory gains even more weight with Scorpius Malfoy in The Cursed Child. Scorpius is intelligent, studious, kind. He fits Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff perfectly, but he is sorted into Slytherin. Why? Because Slytherin is his father's house. Scorpius idolizes his father and seeks his approval. He has no ambition for power, but he wants to fit the family image. And this is exactly what happened to Draco Malfoy. Did he choose Slytherin? Not directly, but he knew his family expected him to go there. He never questioned it. And now, we must ask the real question. Why are there so many villains in Slytherin? We are presented with Slytherin as the house of the cunning and ambitious, but in reality, it is also the house that produces almost all the antagonists in the story. Is it because Slytherin creates villains? Or is it because those who dream of power, those who admire cunning and ambition, want to go there themselves? And here, we touch on something fascinating. If the Sorting Hat bases its decisions on what we value, then houses become self-fulfilling prophecies. Imagine, you place a child who admires courage in a house that encourages them to be brave. You place a student who values intellect in a house that pushes them to excel academically. You group those who idolize ambition in an environment where they are pushed to surpass themselves. And after 7 years, they become what they always wanted to be. And this is where the true secret of the Sorting Hat appears. The Sorting Hat does not read our souls. It influences us. Hogwarts houses are not just groups of people who share the same personality from the start. They are molds that shape students over 7 years, which means we were never defined by our house. Our house defined us. And this changes everything. We have always believed that the Sorting Hat revealed who we are. But what if we had always had the choice? Without even realizing it, that would explain why no student hates their house. Why even those who don't seem to fit their house eventually embody its values. Why Slytherin remains the house of villains, even though in reality, Slytherins are not necessarily bad. And what if that was the true magic of the Sorting Hat? Not a tool for sorting, but a catalyst for destiny. The question has never been, who are you? The real question has always been, who do you want to become? And if we had always had the power to decide from the very beginning, then which house would you have chosen? Because in the end, the answer to that question may well have been the only thing the Sorting Hat ever truly listened to.